so reliable.
That's kind of the big issue. Okay, so anyway, it is time for the battle, and that means it's time for your casters. So Pansy and Laughter, take it away.
Thank you so much, guys, and detailed breakdown there between the maps. Interesting map pool as well. Quite dissimilar to what they played in the qualifying matchup to get to this event. So clearly making sure they have their tactics, their map choices all correct this one. And it's quite the open map pool as well. We're getting steps. Cliff, to an extent, has a lot of options available. Your prediction coming into this one, who's got the game?
Well, Cunninghams have definitely been the more consistent team throughout the WGL. They've got a lot of experience, 5th to 8th place plenty of times before, 3rd place as well. The last time these two fought, of course, the Cunninghams did actually end up beating them. That was in the qualifier for this event. And of course, in Season 4, they also beat them 2-0. So all in all, I think the Cunninghams are the favored team. I think they've been playing pretty similar in this event. I'm not sure which one's been better. Bernal Empires, they did a couple of interesting tactics. Cunninghams also did a couple of interesting things, but the European teams have been so dominant, we haven't seen the North Americans play their A game in a sense. So I want to see the North American play style. It's very interesting. As a European, we don't really get to see it that much, so it is a bit of a special treat as the Cunninghams are setting up in towards the south of that map.
Yeah, indeed. So if you want to tune in, obviously in the north it will be Burn All Empires, and in the south in red it's going to be the Cunninghams. And what sort of tank choices are we seeing here? Is there anything that stands out to you that's a little unique, or something that you'd maybe argue is very indicative of the NA region? Is there any variance here?
Well, we got a double RU251. We haven't seen that before. We've seen one of them being picked up in a couple of the matches, all by the North American team, surprisingly. The Europeans really not going for that new Tier 8 light tank from the German tree. So let's see how that one works. A very, very fast lineup. We've got an AMX-1390, two 251s, T69 and a T32. T32 really the only slow one there. That's for Bernal Empires, and the Cunninghams with a T69, T32, double AMX-1390 and a 251 as well. So similar kind of lineups. I would have expected a little bit more of a heavier lineup if the Cunninghams do want to sit there and try and defend this one.
And I like this play from Martin there. Put himself right at the front lines, very MAGA style, leading right at the front there, just in the tier 1. He's got quite the information though coming through, and that's never a bad thing. A little bit of fire coming out, Static being spotted. Taking a couple of shells, and 7 minutes and 46 seconds into this map. We generally, if we see this in the EU region, you may argue it's going to be a draw. It's quite the open map, unless there's a straight up play, unless there's a very indicative lineup pick towards a specific strategy, it can fizzle out into this polarizing map. However, we are seeing the kind of western side play a little from the northern side, so maybe not so towards the trenches, which is a complete mainstay in the European style, so it is certainly very different. Do you think we're going to see a push out of this? It's still very early, of course. Normally, if we're going to see that final push, around the 2-minute, 3-minute marker, but do you see maybe the building blocks towards that?
Well, I don't see how Bernal Empires can push that left side. I mean, the reason why you do see the northern team going towards the trench is simply because you have every single advantage from the south if you're going to push there. I mean, you can see Comps, Dodoma, A. Martin, German, Commander J, all in better positions. They'll just be able to get shots onto the bottleneck, and they really won't stand a chance for Bernal Empires. So I don't see how they're going to push across there. A. Martin will spot them, and it'll pretty much be game over. So maybe a little bit of a rotation around towards G-Forcer there in the middle, in the T32, and then maybe pushing up towards the cap from there on out. Static and Diver are defending the base in the tier 1s, and maybe they can also try for the cap through the middle. We'll have to wait and see. But at the moment, Zone Delta quite happy to make the hull down shots in that T69. And for the Cunninghams, they really can do whatever they want. The best option would be to take that trench zone. If you can get the trench as a southern team, you're already +2.
Yeah.
You've got the position the other team has a favor towards, and also, you can go for the cap. You can also push through the middle. G-Force is a little bit vulnerable on his own. It could be very interesting indeed, but we are seeing a little bit of a pack coming together for the Cunninghams. Commander J, Germ, all heading up towards where Eratai there in the tier 1 is. A. Martin's going to try and take him down before they do get spotted, but he won't manage to, leaving Militant and Cops to do the cleanup.
Yeah, and it's a worrying position to be in. You're allowing Bernal Empires maybe to find an angle on this. And there we go, tier 1 will fall for Bernal Empires. But will the rest follow? The Cunninghams are moving forward, gaining ground on the western side and pushing that northern team further back up to where they started. But then again, it may force that rotate we say wouldn't be a bad option for Burn All Empires if they can maybe get towards those trenches, swing around, use G-Force's position in that center of the map. They may be able to make something work here. And I must say, it's quite the honoured fun to be able to cast these guys. We generally don't get to see, obviously, much of the NA region here. So it's good to see these guys in their element. But I'm waiting to see that real action kit off Rill, maybe on the receiving end, as Militant does have a little bit of a shot there with comps. That T69 wonderful in these positions, able to just appear up and over, maybe get a couple. And at the moment, it's all down to Burn All Empires, pretty much, to me, to make that next move.
Burn All Empires are already way late to the party. They should have headed towards a trench ages ago. They allowed the Cunninghams basically to get into their base before they've done anything about it. They should be hull down with the T32 G-Forcer. The MX-39 should be rotating around, but Azrael in the middle, going to be pushing up towards the base. Interesting stuff. I'm not sure if that really worked because Cunninghams have the higher ground now. You can see Comps Militant starting to flank around Commander J as well. G-Forcer really the only one defending in the Pershing. So interesting stuff all around, and I'm not exactly sure what Real and Azrael are doing in that position. Trying to stop Dodoma and Germ from heading around, but all they have to do is stick to the bottom of that that hill, and they should be all safe. So Burn All Empire's got a very uphill struggle at the moment. Yeah, Commander J, you can basically just go to A5 and shoot G-Forcer in the side.
Yeah, that's a worry to allow a player to get to that position. He's pretty much literally behind enemy lines here, and if he does connect these shots in that 1390, quite the ample tank to be in this sort of situation, he's going to get a lot of damage done. There goes there's the first connection. G-Force is going to be in trouble if he stays in this position, gets caught out here. The shell's not quite landing to the, well, possibility and the potential of that position just yet. He's going to take one back. He's going to need to play a little bit more careful, and it reminds me of Butcher almost in this sort of play, and I'd love to see him do it a little better, but it looks like it has forced the hand of Burn All Empires. They've made a southern play out of this.
They're going all towards the cap. Only the tier 1 left for the Cunninghams to defend this one. Cap's going to get down very quick. 44 seconds left for Israel, and Real in charge of defending this one if they can. But you've got to see that Cunninghams already going to start the counterplay, also going for the cap. So it's going to be a bit of a base race. I expect the Cunninghams to send one tank back to stop this one then.
Well, they've got 1 second to do it. G-Force moves in, takes a beating before it goes down, and that is a big kill coming in for the Cunninghams, and that cap is still going. 23 seconds on the board. Zone Delta is being zoned out right now. Look at that, Militant just waiting for him, and they're moving in. They're going for the kill. They're stopping him right in his tracks. 14 seconds on that cap. Keep your eye on that timer because they are just swarming all over him, and there's little he can do unless they can get back in time and reset this cap circle. It looks like the Cunninghams may have just done this one, but look at the cap. Look at the cap. They reset it. It's back on. Game is afoot. Look how close it is. Static. Oh, they get the kill just in time. Perfect play coming out, and now the Cunninghams have their backs up against the wall. Can this be turned around?
As Real's on really low HP, he might be a one-shot if Commander J can get the shots on, but Real comes in to the rescue.
Oh, here we go, Commander J goes down, and Real claiming that one. The cap is still going though. 10 seconds on that cap. Is there a reset coming through here? Zone Delta on his way, 6 seconds. Can he land the shot? 4 seconds left. He must get this shot, and I don't think oh, in the last second, he resets it, and the clock is still ticking, but Real is on the way back. They're giving everything to this game. 8 more seconds. Can you believe this? Can a Martin and Comps hold on? 4 seconds, 3 seconds left. This could be game coming up here. And there we have it, ladies and gents. The cap finally comes into place, but that was a close call.
Resets all round. First of all, it was Burn All Empire to be reset, then it was Cunninghams to be reset. It was back and forwards. If only that T69 had more HP to play around with, he would be able to reset once, reverse, and then reset again when he needed to. But still, there was only 2 tier 8 tanks left for Burn All Empires and 3 left for the Cunninghams. So they would have lost out on the HP anyway. Good all-round game. So unlucky for Burn All Empires. They were half a second away from capping that one.
That was some clutch play coming out as well. You've got to love that. I hate to say it, the NA region, they play with some flair. They don't mess around. Normally when we see the likes of Steps coming up first in the EU region, it's drilled in, it's clinical, there is no room for error, and it's polarizing as hell. NA region, they don't mess around. They're going for this one, and they want to prove a point, and I like seeing it. I've got to say it. Burn All Empires and the Cunninghams, to an extent, have been living in the shadows of the likes of Simp and Fnatic for quite some seasons now, and they're certainly proving they do have a little bit of skill behind them, to say the least. And so far, what can we take out of that? Because it was a close game. It was a matter of seconds between these two. Can we define that one team is stronger than the other yet, or is it just too close to call?
Well, we can say that both teams have the weakness that they not really willing to push in.
Yes.
What the Cunninghams have, again, is that player skill. To be able to get into situations, to be able to get themselves into a place where they can reset very quickly. But again, Bernal Empire's got very, very unlucky in that situation as well. So I think it could have gone either way. I'm not sure which team was really the better. I said at the beginning, Bernal Empire's played pretty similar to the Cunninghams in this tournament, and it just proved it then. Such a close game. I thought the Cunninghams should have pushed into the cap a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Capitalize on that mistake by Bernal Empires not to go towards the trench. And I think it would have been a game over very quickly because they had the higher ground. And I think for Bernal Empires, going into the trench would allow them more options towards the cap and also defending.
But let's look at it this way. Bernal Empires online, their record on steps was quite poor. It was 1-4 through their regular season, picking up 1 win, losing or drawing the rest. However, the next map being Cliff, they're 2 for 2. They won both of the games they played on it. That's not a bad kind of stat to have behind you. So if there's any map they can start picking up the wins on, arguably this is one of their better. Even though it's been minimally played by them, they won both times. The likes of Ensk, probably their follow-up one as well at a 4-7 record. So certainly have the options there to do so. And with the first game being so close, I feel maybe the second, this could be drawn up all even at 1-1 if they get that start, if they get everything right. Because looking at the way they played it last time, it was fairly polarizing. And the one thing that always grabs my attention when it comes to these kind of maps in the NA region, they are a little bit more accustomed to welcoming slightly newer tank. So I think this could be the time where we see that new kind of tank going into play, and both teams probably fashioning it rather than one, and obviously the EU region not fancying it.
I mean, we've seen the Pershing being picked by C-Play in Season 4 finals, and that's a European team. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the T49. We've seen it a couple times in a couple of matches since it's been released in 9.3.
Yep.
So I would really not be surprised if we see that American Tier 8 light tank. Of course, 710 damage, a huge chunk of an AMX 3090 if you do penetrate, and that's just with average. You can get 25 plus, you can be hitting like 800, 900 damage easily, which would be 80-90% of an AMX 3090, no problem. And that's pretty much a tank out of the game.
Yeah.
So it can be very interesting. It's also a very fast tank, very maneuverable, a lot of fun to play, a very easy tank to maneuver, so you don't have to worry about that. So a T69, T49 in the middle, gets the initial shot off onto the MX 1390, boom, that's pretty much one tank out of the game again. Reloads for a bit, and second shot as well comes in, and it will pretty much be game over for the other team. But again, it's such a situational tank, unlike the Pershing with the 105mm, doesn't aim down particularly quickly, a little bit inaccurate. It's relying on luck a little bit, which can be a problem. I think you'd see a European team pick at RU251 and not the T49.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to seeing the NA style on this one, because EU and Russia generally normally quite similar in style. They still play this one fairly differently. The Russian style utilizes a lot more of the map. They have a little bit more variation, whereas we were almost a little bit Prokhorovka-like with it at the start, very much a head-on clash, or one side over-aggressors and vice versa. So I'm interested to see what the NA region now can bring to the play and show maybe more variations or more styles towards it. It's all unique per region. What works, what doesn't, is all down to them. So I think we are almost ready to get underway into map number 2. So far, the Cunninghams are leading with 1 map to the good. This is still a best of 5, bear in mind. They're 1 map up, that is a big start. So I believe in the north it will be the Cunninghams in red, and in the south in blue it will be Bernal Empires. And what sort of tank choices are we seeing?
Well, the Cunninghams does something pretty clever. Usually we see like 5 AMX 3090s, you want to see a fast tank lineup on Cliff.
Yeah.
What they've gone here is for 4 RU251s, 1 AMX 3090 double tier 1, of course. So they got a little bit of burst from the AMX 3090, but the one problem with the 3090 on this map is gun depression, which the 251 overcomes, of course. G-Force's own Delta picking up the 2 heavy tanks for Bernal Empire's Rill
this is
in the 251. Very interesting pickups all around from that team. And honestly, I'm not sure how it's going to work against the 251, which is a great sniper when they have the higher ground.
Yeah, and I like seeing this. Almost in a way, Bernal Empire is taking more of the stance of the Russian style, utilizing the west side of the map a little more. Maybe not with quite the cohesion we see from the Russian region, but certainly utilizing it in the initial play. Whether or not they follow that through, I'll be interested in. But I like the way the Cunninghams taking more the EU stance. Let's see how it kind of clashes here, because there's negatives and benefits to both sides. Who's beginning you liking a little more?
I'm liking the Cunninghams because they got the higher ground very early on.
Yep.
Bernal Empire is very slow to get that western side. But then again, with Zone Delta in the T32 and now G-Forcer in the T32, Zone Delta in the 5100, a lot of HP, a lot of firepower to play with. Zone Delta does receive a shell there. A little bit of damage off him from the, I believe that was the 251 from Comps. So good initial damage for the Cunninghams, and also a good amount of information. You know, 251, great view range, spotting out that big chunk of an AMX 5100, no problem at all. So it's going to be interesting what they can do. Real making his way around, maybe try and find that tier 1 trim.
And it is kind of scary to see RU-251 hitting that speed pretty easily. It's certainly a little bit of a fast tank, but he does receive a little bit of damage, so he needs to be careful here. Fairly out in the open, there's a reason you don't go straight for that cap, and I think Militant showing him why. So he needs to back away, re-account, and maybe try again a little later. But he's testing the waters, it seems like. But was that play worth taking that damage?
I have to wait and see. I don't think it was, because it was very obvious where the Cunninghams were. Real just keeps him getting spotted by Comps there in the 251. He should have gone a little bit less aggressive. He should have gone to the right as opposed to going all the way up to A2, A1, A2, A3. A little bit unnecessary from him. The Cunninghams are going to try and get up towards the middle area, but it's going to be pretty hard as Commander J will constantly be spotted by Static, who can just pop around and hit that big old shell from the T49 there. So indeed, we'll be seeing the T49 in this map. I didn't even see that Static playing that tank. So if he can hit one shell, it'll bring Bernal Empires back into this game. But it's going to be a hard shot for him.
Yeah, G-Forcer pushed quite far around then on the slightly southern side of his position. I was getting a little nervous considering the likes of German Co were up on that lighthouse kind of hill there. Not exactly a hard shot to hit if he does peer around again, but 6 minutes and 45 seconds. I really don't know what to expect from the inner region. Will they go for an aggressive push? Because at the moment, it does seem like Bernal Empires are falling back a touch. Brill, Azriel, and a couple of others just kind of, mostly focusing on the south. And Martin is down there, so he'll gather the information if they go on that rotate round the south to east side. So interesting play. Not sure where the end game is though for the Bernal Empire's side.
Real, Azriel, as you said, heading up from the south, A Martin towards their right. And basically they've kind of predicted that Comps and Commander J will be going up towards the north. Not so much firepower in the eastern side, and honestly if they can get there it'll be very good. But Germ's on the hill and he will continually spot them. Dodoma now in a great position as well to get side shots on if he does manage to spot them out. And there we go, Static spotted now. Dodoma getting himself a good position. That MX 3090 will struggle to get the gun depression though. But side shots will be possible if he does. But A Martin goes down, and Bernal Empire suddenly do have a good advantage. They have that right side.
Yeah, the next person their way would be Militant and maybe Germ to an extent. You can see him right there just backing out. They don't want to go for the straight up challenge. Germ can lay down good covering fire from this position. Probably connect a good couple of shots. And as you said, this tank has a little bit more gun depression viability than the 1390. And we've seen the 1390 doing wonders in this position. And you can see the Real is pretty much in trouble now. He is down very low, 4, 5, 6 HP. Azriel gets a little bit of damage from Dogma there, and the brawl is starting to begin, and I'm not sure if Bernal Empires have that advantage anymore. They let it slip a little.
The G-Forcer and the T32 is coming through. Zone Delta as well. Look how much damage he puts onto Comps. He falls.
Indeed, straight away the engagement going now towards Bernal Levers, but can they follow this up? Can they find any more? It's a fairly decent split from the Cunninghams. They don't have all their forces in one place. They could be punished for this. Dogma is out on a limb. Commander J not exactly in the fight either. Germ has to be careful as well. He can't overextend on this hill, and you can hear those shots coming in. Militant laying down the fire. G-Forcer might be on the chopping board. Real is low as well, as is Azriel. If they get a good crossfire, they can do damage back, but Bernal Empires, they're making a play out of this, and they're not done yet. Zone Delta looks like he wants to kind of focus towards Dogma, but where's their attention being put towards now?
They're looking for Commander J at this point. Dodoma as well, and the MX-39 is taking a lot of damage. Commander J doing some good shots into Static, and Dodoma does fall, so 2-0 exchange for Bernal Empire, doing a fantastic job, and the fact that they're putting the shells into G-Force is great for them as well.
Yeah, Azriel now does get a little bit of a side shot coming out from Commander J. Then nice work from him, good connection, but Bernal Empire still have the advantage. They just need to hunt down those final players. Even if the HP is low, Commander J is a threat, so you can see Real carefully trying to find the angle. Shots, however, coming in from Militant. They cannot haphazardly peek this sort of angle. 4 minutes on the board. Can they finish this up? This is a good map for Bernal Empires, and there is that cap beginning. Can they get it through?
Hydraulics are down.
No, is the answer for now. It's going to keep going. Need to be a little careful. Look how low Bernal Empires are. If they do not engage correctly, they could be in trouble. Static and G-Force are trying to choose targets. Militant does do a little bit of work, but look at that, static just gets removed, and a good situation, maybe turning bad here for Bernal Empires if they don't get these shots done, and GeForce needs to slow down Commander J, gets one on the move, but he doesn't have enough for a follow-up here, and this could go down south pretty fast.
Well, the cap also being reset a little bit. They've only got one tier 1 in there. Commander J has got plenty of HP to deal with GeForce and Wirral if he has to, and I just have to say that T49 RNG not going towards Bernal Empires at all. Does get one shot. Real does get replied with. That goes down. Nice little shot there from Commander J, who at the moment is carrying his team head and shoulders through towards the win.
It certainly is, and considering the advantage Bernal Empires had, they are now down to pretty much 3 tanks on very low HP. The tier 1 merely has 6 HP, so pretty much anything could take him down. Germ looking for a position. Does he have a shot towards Zone Delta though? He's looking, he's certainly gonna find it eventually. He might, however, be in a little bit of trouble if he gets caught out, but GeForce might be up next on the showing board, and there he goes, down and out. And now 54 seconds on the cap. Just Zone Delta and that tier 1 left alive. Can he do the defensive work? He takes down one, but now it's Militant up against Zone Delta, and there's Germ as well waiting. Germ going in for the challenge. Zone Delta backs away carefully, 41 seconds. He needs to buy time. He needs to play smart. He might be able to do this. Militant, though, moving across, carefully does it. Zone Delta playing with fire right now, but Militant delivers and takes him out of the game. Now just the tier 1 left. 28 seconds. This should be the Cunninghams.
The 251's perfect for this. He can get back to the base very quickly. Erotire has also got no HP to play with at all. No problem for Militant and German, as you said. 15 seconds, an eon amount of time for them, unless they do end up like tracking each other when they fall down the hill. But it should be okay for them. Interesting strategy for Bernal Empires. Didn't seem to work out, but the cap is getting pretty low.
3 seconds, that's 2 seconds. Militant better land that shot, and he does.
Called it.
That was a little close for comfort.
Little close.
But again, Bernal Empires denied by a couple of seconds. But regardless, the Cunninghams with a strong victory again. Turning it around at a moment that I didn't think possible, but they brought it back. And I think once again, Commander J, what a play there.
Yeah, brilliant stuff from him. Such a carry. Stayed patient. T49 also, Bernal Empires didn't manage to hit the shells. But yeah, Bernal Empires, they had that in the bag pretty much. They took down 2 tier 8s, were losing nothing. The problem is they were too indecisive on the cap. They didn't push around far enough when they went for it. And I think they should have taken the hill as just a lighthouse, go onto the lighthouse instead of actually just pushing the lower road at all. And it was a little bit of a misplay from the Cunninghams. The reason why I said it would cap, they wouldn't be able to cap with it like 5-10 seconds left, because most teams, they stay up and they just shoot down from the side instead of driving all the way down and then going back up again. It makes no sense to me, but whatever floats your tank, I guess. So next map, it's going to be Mines. At the moment, Cunningham's 2-0 up. It's only one more map, and they'll be through with a 3rd place and $7,500 in the pocket.
Yeah, and it has to be a win coming out from Bernal Empires now. They can't mess around on this one. And the sad thing is, historically, that was the map Bernal Empires could have done something on. And you could see at the start, they had a good plan. They executed well to a point, and as you said, several slightly misjudgment calls coming into play, and it just kind of fell apart. Obviously, Commander J kind of pushing him to that. But Mines is a very different beast. It's a very different map all in all. We haven't seen much of it, actually, today, but looking forward to it this time. And what do you think we can expect? Slightly unique tank pickups there, using that RU-251 previously. Is this a map we might see it on? We saw that 1390 Brawl previously. We even saw the WZ-132 occasionally brought in towards that. Could we see that 251 maybe taking its place on that initial hill race, or does it not quite have the viability of reload, or what sort of downside might we see here?
Well, if we hark back to the beginning of today, School Bus versus Bernal Empire, School Bus starting from the north, didn't pick any of those 251s. Bernal Empire played very passively and towards the south, sticking the heavy tank up in towards their base, towards the cap. Didn't work out for them. I'm going to be interested to see if they have the same sides, if that's going to work out for them. Because Cunningham's seen the weakness in their strategy, and if they do the same as School Bus did, they should be able to go through with a nice tidy 3-0 scoreline here. But having said that, I don't think it will be. I think Bernal Empires, they must be annoyed as long as they don't have a morale, as long as they don't have a morale issue, and then they should be able to actually bring this one up to 2-1. I really hope so, because they are looking like a pretty good team and the better team on Cliff.
And it's a shame to see them always, it does seem like a second away from winning. First map, the reset came in about a second or two. Second map, tier 1 goes down a second later. You could argue that the game was won prior to that on at least Cliff, but still, that's literally seconds do come into account when it's at this sort of level of play. A second does feel like a lifetime for some of these players, and you can say that any team at the top level will be able to punish someone for just such clear mistakes. Imagine Virtus.Pro being given that chance to be able to punish someone. They wouldn't look it down, turn it down. They go straight in for that. But mine's coming up. I'm interested to see if the play we saw earlier, obviously against Scorebus, was a retaliation to the EU style, or if that's what they actually want to play. That's what I'm looking at here, looking at the tactics, what they're going to bring out, what sides they're starting on. I can imagine Cunninghams will be in the south, and Virtus.Pro will be in the north, but let's see once we get into the battle. This could be the final map, bearing in mind, ladies and gents, to find out if, well, the Cunninghams will be walking away in third place. Not a bad showing for the boys there, and now, as you can see, the timer almost running out. Your final prediction, who's got this map?
I think Bernal Empires. I hope Bernal Empires at least. Yeah. That's what my heart is saying, my head is saying the Cunninghams.
Yeah, I'd love to see a little bit more of this NA style. I don't want it to be over just yet, but regardless of what I want, we are live into the game, and as expected, in the south in red it will be the Cunninghams. In the north in blue, it's Bernal Empires with everything to do. It's do or die time for them. The Cunninghams sitting on 2 points already. This could be over in this map. And what are we seeing from the very start, and what tank choices have they gone for?
The Cunninghams heading left, Commander J is going to be taking the normal default position in H2. Two heavy tanks sitting back, that's Militant and Dodoma, and there's two T-32s. And then tier 1 is going to be spotting in the proxy spot, the 50-meter proxy spot below the cliff. G-Force Zone Delta from the Bernal Empires heading up towards the middle. They've taken the hill successfully. They've just been trying to get a couple of shells towards comps, a couple heading back. Zone Delta taking a lot of damage there, almost down to half HP, about 60% left on his T-32, and he's indeed even tracked in that position. And I don't think he should be there. I think he should try and reverse and get out of that situation.
Yeah, maybe a little hap-handed, especially at such an important time. But you've got to make the right choices in these moments, and him being so low and continuously going for that shot towards comps, he's just not getting that shot down, and sometimes you've got to cut your losses and get out of there, but maybe his feeling is allowing G-Force to get to a better position, maybe to assist. But still, Cunningham's playing a defensive game, no real surprise. But I want to see what we've got going on here. We've got Static maybe trying something out, but still, very early doors in this game. A lot of time left to play with, but as you said, this tank does have that little bit more gun depression than the 1390 that we're used to. This could be a slightly more potent position. I'm interested to see it come into play now.
Yeah, now this is all about the execution for Bernal Empires. They can't play their hand with Static too early. They need to have the real firepower, G-Force and Zone Delta, come off their mountain and push in towards the Dome and Militant. Commander J is kind of out of the fight. Comps could possibly come back in and A Martin at 2, and of course is all over towards the Lighthouse Island, so you won't be able to be there in any sort of reasonable time. Static looking for Triome. I don't think he'll be able to find him if he's done it correctly. And Dodoma and A Militant even just trying to be conservative, sticking back, looking towards where Static is. They know where he's going to come from, and hopefully they can counter it, because at the moment the Cunningham's 2-0 ahead. You just have to sit this one out and possibly move on to the next map.
Well, let's find out. G-Force and a couple of shells off, but little to no damage done towards the Cunninghams yet. Their positioning certainly making it hard work for Bernal Empires, not finding any easy shots, and Static still in that position, living up to his name at the moment, but as you said, he can't use this card too early. It has to come into play at that right time. And right now, Dogma and Militant just playing it calm, playing it cool. And Cunningham's no pressure on them now. They can just ride this one out. They do not have to rush. Static might have just given away a little bit of the game there. He might have to switch up position, and we often see it being punished quite drastically if they do that kind of double, if not triple peak. It's Militant and Dogma. They can easily focus it down, but there's the issue. Static cannot peak again. I think that was Comps laying down the fire, and Comps have been doing a wonderful job so far, just keeping him at arm's length. You saw the damage Zone Delta took just to try and connect on.
Well, he's competence.
Wow.
First pun. Doesn't even work. Yeah, I'm not sure what Bernal Empires can do. At the moment, Cunninghams have every single answer to their questions. There's really no way in for them. The only option is pushing off the hill with G-Force down and heading up towards Dodoma and Militant. Cunninghams, of course, they can head over towards the Lighthouse Island. That's the only option I see. Brill in the MX 1390, heading towards A Martin, Commander J. 5 minutes and 58 seconds left on that clock. Going to be interesting if they can actually push out any kind of advantage here. That's the Cunninghams. I mean, neither team has taken any damage. Okay, Zone Delta has taken a little bit, but that's the T-32. It's kind of designed to take damage. American Tier 8 heavy tank, of course. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen, to be honest. I really think Real is going to be an important part. You can see on the screens right now. He's the one who's roaming. You know, he's your power slide. He's your Vorstick, or breakneck now. He's your Alien, he's your Ruster for Bernal Empires. And if he can find a weakness, he'll exploit it, he'll push it through, and maybe even give Bernal Empires the little edge they need to win.
Well, let's see how he takes this one. Obviously, heading over towards the West Island to start with. And we often see maybe the likes of Applewell doing that occasionally in the 1390 when they are in this sort of position and then pushing further forward. But it does seem as though the Cunninghams are happy to put their tanks out on that west side of Martin, Commander J, and Germal there, so maybe that's their counter to that possible play. But as you said, G-Force just pushing off that hill is another option available. They tried using that east side, and it just didn't really work. A couple of shells coming back and forth. Zone Delta really does need to be careful, as he is so very low compared to everyone else. And Commander J or Martin actually did get a possible shot, and we'll see. But it looks like Static's on the rotate, and they may be once again trying that west side.
So G-Force is putting pressure onto comps, and now Wirral and Static will put pressure onto Commander J. Now if they can keep comps distracted for long enough, it'll be 2 versus 1 against Commander J, and they'll be able to take him down. But immediately gets spotted, Wirral gets spotted, and they have to reverse out of there because of A. Martin's positioning. G-Forcer might actually drop off that hill, but Azrael not being in a great position to deal with that if he does, and to support him even if he does. Oh, Azrael has dropped off, so Commander J will be the play for Bernal Empires.
Well, Azrael moving forward. Shell not connecting from Commander J this time. He's probably not the man I'd want to focus after that performance in the previous map, but I guess you got to pick a target and go with it for now. And Germ might actually be a bit of a problem. Real and Static now lining up. Might go for this
just
one.
push around. They've always been indecisive in this matchup. They have to push. They have to take down Commander J or Germ.
The crossfire is there. They've got to focus that fire, and they've got to do it soon. Otherwise, they'll be picked apart and going in one by one. Receiving shell after shell is not how you want to do it. Azrael's moving up as well. Zone Delta's starting to edge forward. The execution is slow, but it does seem to be happening.
Martin's fallen, Triumph fallen, so both tier 1s are down for Cunninghams. It leaves only the combat tanks. Also no possibility of a kind of counter moving towards a cap. Azrael takes a little bit more damage, but he is in the IS-6, so it's perfect. G-Force are putting pressure into Dodoma, and if Cunninghams wanted to counter this, he have to take down G-Force because he's kind of on his own.
Well, blow for blow so far. The Dogma has got a shell in. Static is trying to move up, as is Real, but Germ is holding back. Commander J just toying with him, backing away, going to go round on the flank. Azrael might catch him out, but Azrael is fairly low, down to 282 HP as Germ tries to back off as well, buy more time for Commander J to maybe come around on that flank, but G-Force is still in that battle. Real trying to land these shots on the move, but Static so low, he has to be careful. If Commander J comes around that flank, they are in trouble. They are between a rock and a hard place. Real backs away. Static is down to pretty much a one-shot, as Germ sadly has the same fate. So fairly low HP on all sides now. G-Force takes a big bit of damage, and if one player steps up here for either side, they can get a good collection of kills. However, the Cunninghams do have a lot better HP, and look at Commander J. G-Force, though, being moved in on by Milton, who comes in and takes him down. That is the advantage the Cunninghams were looking for. Now they can focus on those lighter tanks, and they're doing just that. Real now in a world of trouble. Comps is going to go for the challenge. Germ is there, bearing in mind Commander J is behind. There is nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and Real knows that. He does have the shells available, but first shell comes in from the back. Jay's there, but it's going to be Comps to take him down, and just the tier 1 stands. It looks like the Cunninghams have sealed their fate.
Eritai, as you said, the only one standing for that team. 3-0 scoreline, it will be almost 99.9% of the time for the Cunninghams. Great performance by them, showing them not only a good offensive team, but also a good defensive team, as Eritai does fall 3-0 to the Cunninghams, walking away with a 3rd place finish, $7,500, 4th place $5,000 going to their opponents, Bernal Empires.